All right, welcome to Who Taught Us That podcast with Jay and Miss Lady, where we talk about all things to try to figure out who taught us that. So what are we talking about today, Miss Lady?
All right, so you know what? I'm wondering if I'm one of them people that smoke weed mentally. I don't smoke weed, but you know what I'm saying? How you smoke weed, you go into deep thought?
Yes.
All right, so my deep thought was, I was wondering, why do we feel that, who taught us that we need to leave a legacy behind? And do you have to have children to leave that legacy?
I don't think you have to have children to leave a legacy, but I'm going to let you start out with
Yeah, but
this.
that's what a lot of people, I find that, especially in this, the way people are doing things nowadays, it's like, they're having children to leave their legacy. Like, I got to leave my legacy. I got to show that I was here. Mm-hmm. But that's not a legacy. That's
not
just
a legacy.
seed.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I'm trying to figure out, like, who taught us, what a legacy is. Is that just something we put in our head, or?
I just think that's the hot topic for right now. The generation right now, everybody, that's all you hear is, I want to leave a legacy. But I don't think people really understand what that means to leave a legacy behind. I think about people who started different businesses and how they just assume that their children are going to take that business on. And a lot of them don't want to be bothered with the chicken hut and,
right.
and doing, lawn and garden. Like, they don't want to do that. But if they, if your parents built up that business, they just assume, well, I groomed you and this is what I'm leaving behind. But, the kids and watch them work too much, not get paid by people and all the things, getting, verbally abused by customers. And so they don't want to do that. So what do you do with that? But
so I'm gonna put a spin on it. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you automatically went to businesses and being a business owner or whatever. But what if it's more than that? I believe a legacy is more than that. I believe a legacy is what you leave behind, what people remember you by. Mm-hmm. Whether it's your chicken hut or, somebody asked me a question, and this is why I said I've been smoking that weed a little bit. But somebody asked me a question, and they said, if you died today, did you do enough good for somebody to remember you?
I believe I have, yes.
You believe you have?
Yes.
So what would be your legacy?
I think it would be my children's attitude. I think my children are a good reflection of what I believe they should be in society. They're nice people. They're kind to people. They're not caught up in the latest trends. I believe that, you don't have to ask them to do nothing. If you get up to go do something, they're coming behind to see how they can assist. I think that is truly what a legacy is.
Okay. So you raised your children correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I believe so.
Okay. But what about you? I'm putting you all on the spot, putting you on blast today. What about you? So if somebody was to say, like, Jay really, really impacted my life when, what's your legacy?
Okay. Well, to add to what I just said, I think I impact people's life just from my behavior. People have always said to me, why are you so nice? Why do you speak to people you don't know? Mm-hmm. Whether I'm out running or going to the store when somebody else is with me and I'm like, hey, how you doing? Good morning, good evening. And I'm saying that to other people. The other person with me is always like, why are you speaking to people you don't know? And I do that because it is so much bad in this world that who knows somebody else that needs that extra smile or the extra kindness or whatever. Everybody ain't an evil person. They're just not. And I get depicted as that all the time when I'm not smiling. So I try to be like, hey, how you doing? So I think that is a part of my legacy, which I believe is a reflection from my children.
Right. Well, yeah, because if I was to say, I'd be like, she don't know a stranger. She does not know a stranger. I can't go nowhere. Hey, girl, And I'm like, oh, Lord, this woman. So, yes, I definitely agree with that. That's good. That's good. Anything else?
Well, I have to think about it a little bit. I think that's the biggest thing. But you know, like you on smoking the weed, I have this whole thing about dying. And not that I'm afraid to die, but I want to make sure that my kids understand. Don't you spend a whole bunch of money on no funeral. Because, you know, we get all emotional and I need 10 limousines and I need this and that. No, you don't need all that. So we're going to just break it down. It's going to be simple. This is who I want to speak at my funeral. I done already laid it out for them. And this is what I know they going to say about me, you know. So, yeah, so I'm on that end. Like, this is probably the first birthday that I was kind of excited about. Usually I'm sad on birthdays because I'm just like, oh, Lord, I get to tripping thinking about everybody who didn't pass before me, who didn't make it. But this year, I know why I was happy because I told my kid, I said, I don't want to do nothing. And I mean that. I don't want to, nobody talking about we're going to have I don't want to do none of that because don't nobody call and check me. You know, how you doing? Nobody do that. I'm always the one calling and texting and how you doing? You on my mind? Da, 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 da. I said, so ain't no need that I'm celebrating because they ain't. When I could look at my phone and tell you the last time they called or that they reached out to me first. So no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be sitting around them on my birthday because then it feels like it's a chore. No, what is the word?
Chore.
A chore. Yes, thank you. And it's not genuine. That's the biggest thing. Right. So what is your legacy?
Well, to piggyback off what you just said, I totally agree with that. I think at some point in our life, we do get to that point where you kind of start paying attention to what's true and what isn't true.
Yes.
And so, and I told someone that I was like, I think, you know, at a certain age, I ain't going to reveal our age, but I do think that you say, you know what? I really don't care about what you think because, you know, now I'm focused on me. So I do agree with that. So when they asked me that question, I sat back and I thought about it. And I'm like, I hope that I impacted somebody. I'm pretty sure I might have. But when you first mentioned your children, that was one of the first things I thought about because they asked me, you know, did you instill prayer into your children? I'm like, no, I did not. You know, just to be honest, I didn't. My ex, who, you know, God bless.
Blah, 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 blah.
You know what I'm saying? I got to give him that credit. You know, like, oh, we gonna go. He's dragging the kids to church and praying and teaching them how to pray, whatever. He did that. And I think I necessarily didn't say, oh, I'm going to teach you how to pray, but mine was more or less, I'm going to teach you to have faith. I'm going to teach you, you know, to walk in faith and not give up. And when things get tough, you don't go down. You know, you rise above it. And so, but did I actually sit back and teach them how to put their hands together and pray? And that kind of bothered me when I thought about it. Yeah, because I'm like, well, dang.
Well, I'm going to tell you what you taught me. I don't know if I ever told you this. People always ask me about church stuff. And I go, you know, I got a handful of girlfriends that never went to church, but they were the best reflection of what a good Christian looked like. And I always think about you. Like, I've never heard you say, oh, we're going to church. I'm in this minute. I never heard you say any of that. But I ain't never heard you cuss. I never heard you be ugly to people. And you always be like, it's going to be okay. It's, you know, you just always are uplifting. And to me, that's what a reflection of a higher power is, you know, believing in a higher power. It's not so much as I'm in this ministry, and we go to church 7 days a week. I remember being down that road, you know, and I'm like, no, you don't have to do all that. It's about who you are and how you reflect out to other people. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you, because I told you I was struggling. I started thinking like, oh my God, what? You know, because again, that's when you sit back and that could have been a trick of the enemy. You see something and you're like, man, was I horrible? If something happened to me today, what are they, you know, gonna remember me by? But I do believe my legacy is to treat people right and make them feel good about themselves, even in the worst situation, to help find that silver lining, to say, you know what, it might look this way, but, and I know that's another thing that probably irritate people at the same time, but that's just something I, pride myself in doing. Like, I got to see it's not gonna be this bad forever. There's got to be something on the other side of that door that's good, and I gotta find my way to it.
That's right. Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. I think the other reason why right now having a legacy is such a big topic as far as leaving something behind is I think that so many people suffer from having somebody pass away and now the house doesn't belong to anybody. And so people have gotten wise enough to know that you need to have all these things in place for the passing of the person who holds the gun, the biggest card, so to speak. So I think that is the other thing too. Like if you own a home, is everything in place so that the home can go to the right person, that they're debt free, that it's not a burden to leave behind. And so when you think of that, I think that that's important too. Do they have access to all of your information, your life insurance policy, your 401k policy, all those things? Because I think what we have learned from past history is that the system ends up collecting all that. It goes into probate. And so, you looked at your mama, she didn't had all this money, but she didn't leave it in nobody's name. So now I got to go to probate. Now you got to fight. Now, do you even have money to get you an attorney to pull the money? And now the government has it. And so I think that's why it's being more discussed or discuss more about other people, because we've seen it happen as young adults. We didn't grew up in this house. To us, it was, Big Mama's house, and then she died, and now everybody got to get out the house.
Right.
And so I think that's why people are talking about it more and more and just trying to educate other people about it, because, who knew? As far as you was concerned, it was her house.
Exactly. And I agree with that, but a lot of people are mainly saying, like, you hear a lot of women now, I don't need a husband, just give me the baby.
Oh,
or the man,
gracious.
I don't need a wife, just give me the baby because I want to leave my legacy. And it's not about that. This is just ignorance that's talking.
Yeah.
But I do agree with what you're saying, especially beneficiaries. List you a beneficiary.
Yeah.
Stop trying to. Why do people? I ain't leaving my money to nobody. Ain't nobody getting rich off me. That's all fine and good. Well, then don't have no life insurance. Don't,
But you could still leave the money to something. Why let the government get rich off of it? Because the state is who gets all of your money.
I worked with a lady one time that told me she wanted to leave. She didn't have any children. She was never married. And she told me she wanted to leave all of her money to a vet, because she had pets.
Yes.
And she left all her money to the vet. And I'm like, wow. But, hey, if that's what you want to do.
Especially if they took good care of her animals. People do it all the time. And a lot of people get upset when they know that they're coming from wealth. And they just assume that they're going to receive the wealth. And they don't. It goes to somebody else, Especially like people who go and change the will. And they don't tell nobody that they changed it. And then it's a big brawl at the reading of the will. It's like, wow, I just think people just need to have an honest conversation with their family, and I just don't think that happens.
You're right. And then another thing with legacy too is, it's supposed to be positive, but you got some people out here, mindset is, let me go kill or unalive, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
let me go unalive 10 people to be remembered by, or whatever the case.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of people don't feel like they're seen, and that's where that comes from, wanting to be in the news, regardless if it's positive or negative. That's just like when people kill, unalive real famous people, they want to get the notoriety from it, but I just think that's just
attention seeking.
Yeah.
They want that 5 minutes of fame or attention or whatever the case, or to go down in history. It's I know we've talked about that before. That mental is just taking over.
Yeah. But even, a lot of people's legacy, what they portray on social media really is not real either. They come across as one way, but when you really get to know the person, you're like, oh my goodness, you're a total different person. You are nothing like what you display on social media, but everybody is like, oh, she's this and she's that. And I'm like, no, she really ain't, but okay.
Right, because social media is creating all these social media celebrities, and people wanting to follow people. Oh, I mean, I guess that's their legacy. I mean, think about who was that one guy that passed on. I mean, but people are still following him like he's still alive.
Oh.
The one that
What was his?
died in the hotel, or passed away in the hotel with the woman. What Samuel? What was his name?
Oh, the guy who would kind of check women.
Yes.
Oh, okay. They still following him?
Yes, I still see. I mean, just his legacy, his advice that he would give out.
Sometimes his advice was horrible.
I know that, but I
don't think I ever heard him say anything that I was like, oh yeah, that's nice. Like, no, like he belittled people and no, why would they do that?
Because what he did was, oh my goodness, he made men wake up into how, and I ain't saying I agree with this, I'm saying he made men wake up as to how they were being treated by women. Like some woman would, oh, I just want to go to dinner. You got to have 6 figures and not to Red Lobster or whatever. Take me someplace nice or whatever. So he basically unveiled like how women really were and what we were looking for. Like, okay, what you bringing to the table? No, what are you bringing to the table?
And that is so horrible because every woman is not like that. And that just really irks me. And then like when they ask these real, I'm going to say gorgeous women, just basic questions, and they can't even answer a question like where is Kansas at, or where is what coast is New York, and they just standing there looking crazy, or how much is a nickel and 2 dimes, and they just can't answer any other questions. And I'm like, is she sitting up there looking all beautiful, I mean makeup on fleek, hair cute, outfit slamming, and you don't know what 2 nickels in a nickel, like you just don't know. Like it's just amazing to me.
Well, that was his whole thing. It's like we as women want all this, but we ain't got nothing but our privates to bring to the table. You need more than that, you know. But the man's supposed to be so simple that's really all he care about, right? Supposedly.
Well, I don't agree with that because sometimes a lot of men do only lead with wanting to be sexually involved with you. But that's because, people have their own perception of what they think a relationship has done for them. And I just think a lot of times people are just damaged. I know so many damaged people that think they have made it better for themselves, but then one little thing triggers and I'm like, ooh, where did all that come from? Where they're just damaged. So, and I do feel sorry for people who don't have children, because then so that they don't leave a legacy. When people say that all the time, I don't agree with that.
Well, I mean, I don't know if I feel sorry for them. However, because I never wanted children. However, I do realize the blessing, and as you get older, I mean, things happen in your life. They change. I think the problem is people don't look towards the future. They live in the right now. You do have some people that really plan out, like my ex, he really planned out his future, so he knew what he wanted. But a lot of people don't think like that. A lot of people live in the right now, and so I don't want to have kids, I'm too busy. But then as you get older, and like you said, you start realizing who's real and who ain't, your fake friends, and you become lonely because you ain't got nobody calling you, you ain't got nobody checking on you. And hopefully, if you're a good parent, then you will have children that, can check on you and take you places and do things for you. But if you're in this world by yourself, then more than likely you're going to be lonely.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as their legacy, though, what does that leave them as far as leaving their legacy behind? Is it just people just being able to talk about them,
Well,
or
yeah, that's what we yeah, because a legacy, you could have a child and that child could hate you
mm-hmm.
and don't carry your name. Could go change their name and all that, and you ain't got no legacy.
That
You
is always amazing to me when people do that.
right. That's what I'm saying. But you got a child out here that changed their name that won't even acknowledge you as a parent. And
Yes.
so your legacy is what? That's why people got to really think about why they are doing things. That's the
Mm-hmm.
whole reason I'm asked that question because, why are you doing that? Just, I'm going to have a legacy. I'm going to leave my legacy. I'm going to have a child. You don't know the future of that child.
Right.
You don't know if something is going to happen. You just don't know. So
If they're
that
gonna
should
be
not
in jail or
jail,
pass
the
before
grave,
you.
yeah, anything. You just don't know. That's your legacy shouldn't be dependent on somebody else.
Carrying it on.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Because, I mean, when you think about when you're in, growing up in school, are you thinking family then? I think, and I think in school, elementary, middle school, high school, you are thinking about what you want to do later on in life. And a lot of times that stems from what you're watching on TV, what you're
Mm-hmm.
reading, what your family and friends solidify as being what you want.
Mm-hmm.
So for, 18 years, your whole thing is about what other people around you want for you to do. Then you graduate from high school, and then now you stumbling around trying to figure it out. But if somebody has told you over and over again that you're gonna run this restaurant, or you always worked in the restaurant that mom and daddy had, then you don't know anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you wing away from that without hurting their feelings?
I think you just got to do it. I mean, you get some people that, want to prophesy per se, or I had a vision, this is what I saw. I think life, kind of guides us, and then we have to make the choices on which direction we go. But I think it just guides us in the direction that we, supposed to go. And I think that is how we form our legacy. We have choices to do things. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we talked about this before, like different people that are put in our pathway that can help get us there. Or I mean, you can take a
That
side
derail
course.
you.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I really do think that our legacy is basically in us and what we do and what we give out
Mm-hmm.
and get back, but especially what we give out. Like what, if you meet somebody today and that's that, what they say, that first impression,
Mm-hmm.
you meet somebody and be like, man, I met this, she was just so nice, or she just made me feel, and then you keep it moving.
I don't know about first impressions because people are just
Mm-hmm.
so made up right now that first impressions are not um, really face value anymore.
Well, true, but you got to get that. You got to catch people off guard. You
Mm-hmm.
can't catch them on social media or catch them. Let's go meet up for lunch, or catch them. You got to catch them off guard. Like you said, if you walk in into a restaurant, and somebody is holding the door for you and you 10 steps back,
Mm-hmm.
that person genuinely wanted to hold the door for you.
Right.
Or like you say, if you greet somebody, hi, and they just mug you, okay, well, that you seeing who they are.
Yes, but some people know that that's what they should do, but that doesn't really mean. But sometimes they have a motive behind that. They want you to believe that there's something that they really are not.
That's true.
Yes.
But I believe you can be placed in situations where you're going to have to reveal who you are.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's when the discernment kicks
Yes.
in. Okay.
Like, I mean, it might be, like you said, somebody holding the door, but if I'm taking too long, I got to go. I'm shutting this door. I'm moving. They can get it themselves, Then, okay. But it only take you a second to hold that door or whatever. Yeah, I just think you can read people. I think people do try to put on a face. They do try to cover up. They do try to mask, or
Yes.
I'm this person, or put on this personality. I was telling one of my sons, I'm like, you can probably get any woman, but can you keep her?
Yes.
You know, you can make a woman laugh and, you know, hee ha ha, and that first 2-3 dates is great, but then you start to reveal yourself because you can't keep that going on forever. No. And then can you keep her? You know, because women are getting tired nowadays. You know,
I think men are too. They sick of all this ungratefulness.
I agree. I mean, and when did it get to a point where we owed each other something? Like I said, you know,
I don't know. It is very disturbing. I don't know. I think because people realize they do have choices now, that some people don't bend from it, and some people have very unrealistic expectations of it, because each person is going to bring something that you don't like. But the question will be is, do you want to deal with it or not deal with it? Is it something so horrible that that you would, you know, change your morals about it, so to speak? Or is it just something that just irritates you, you know? Are they scratching their throat in the middle of the night, you know? You're like, oh my God, I can't deal with that, you know? But I don't know.
I ain't gonna be able to do it. You know what people do is they ignore the things that they don't like initially.
Yes.
Thinking that I can get through it, or I don't even know if they think that they can get through it. They just ignore.
Yes.
Like you said, scratching your throat in the middle of the night. You scratch your throat? Okay. So I might not say nothing the first 2, 3, 4 or 5 times, but then after a while, stop doing that.
Yeah. After the 8th month, you're like, oh my God, you can't spend the night over here no more.
Go sleep on the couch or something. I do not like when you do that.
And they like, what am I doing?
Right. And now because something that irritates them.
So what do you think about people who feel like they try to leave a legacy, but everything materialistic wise is gone? Like they've been dipping in this fund and they sold this thinking they won't get it back. Do you feel like they still didn't leave a legacy?
No, not if it's materialistic. I feel like people that, because I mean, I'm not going to get religious, but let me just throw this out there. You know, Jesus didn't have any children, right? And there was
that's
nothing.
What they say.
Yeah, well, that's what they say. Per the Bible.
The Bible.
Yeah, we ain't gonna get religious, but per the Bible, Jesus did not have any children. He never married. Didn't have no materialistic things. Okay, walked everywhere, and and all that good stuff, right? But he's one of the biggest legacies to ever live, right? And so, where does his legacy come from?
People wanting to believe in something or have hope,
the goodness that he exuded or whatever
that we were told.
Well, no, that he like, let your light so shine. So there was we'll use what they say today, for the young people out there. There was an energy
oh yeah, that is their word,
about him that drew people to him. And because of his energy, like, there wasn't, like, nobody was saying, man, look, Jesus is fly. Where you get them shoes from? And he walked around in sandals.
Yes.
So there was nothing, but there was an energy. There was an aura, or the word or whatever, that drew people to him. And so based off that, a legacy was built. A legacy was built out of the goodness that he exude, that he that came off of him. What's the one story? If I can just touch the hem of his garment, because there was an energy that she was trying to get to.
This is true.
All right, girl, don't make me start preaching on
okay, because amen, hallelujah.
No, but I'm not trying to make it but I'm just giving an example. Like, there was nothing needed. He didn't need anything.
Right.
Only thing he had was just him and the words, the words that he spoke, the life, or like you said, giving people hope, or like, well, if you just stand up, if you just believe, Lazarus, he's not dead, he's alive. Go look at him. All that came from basically just the belief that they had, water into wine and all that stuff. I mean, they was probably drinking water, but because he said it, well, wait a minute, this kind of tastes a little
different.
How the psyche can mess with you. And so, he had people living or grabbing for a hoe.
That's interesting that you would say that his legacy still lives. That's yeah. I mean, that is true. I mean, people are still talking about
Still talking
him like
about him.
He was just born yesterday.
Yeah, okay. And still arguing, and is he real? Is he not real?
Yes,
And
yes.
and all that. But I mean, that's just mine. You got one for me?
I know that that kind of like knock my anything I was thinking out, because I think about the different singers and actors and advocates that's out here, politicians, people that are well known, and even after a while their name fades away. But like the holidays, so like Martin Luther King, then all of a sudden everybody want to talk about the one speech. He did so many other speeches, but everybody's just stuck on the "I Had a Dream" speech, which is really not the best speech that he ever wrote or that he actually did. But I mean, he has a legacy, but again, it's the people carrying it on. So that goes back to who carries on your legacy if they're not within your family, where it could be constantly talked about if you're not out within the social lights. Because I can't think of too many people other than my family and friends that live somewhere else who would talk about me. So does that mean that my legacy is not as legitimate as the next person, or was it just not as empowering as the next person?
Yeah, I got you over there thinking now,
because that's interesting.
And going back to Dr. Martin Luther King, go ahead and challenge me on this, but I feel like his legacy is only as strong as, because like you just said, we have a holiday. But do people really talk about him like that?
Right. I don't think they talk about him like they should. I mean, when you go to all these different museums and see all the other people who had an impact on freedom and other people's lives, and they don't get any playtime. But when you read about it, it's really jaw dropping to read all these people that you never hear about, because as a society we always just get stuck on that one
person.
It's just like the Black Panthers, they only talk about Huey, but it was so many other people who did a lot. They never bring up all the people who died trying to get it established. And so that's always very difficult,
Right. And I don't know if it's our generation, or I don't know if it's not our generation, but I don't know if it's blacks, whites. I don't know what made Martin Luther King, who put the focus where he got the holiday and all that, because even going back, like you just said, so many people died before, even going George Floyd, how many people before him, and why was it him that drew that, and I wouldn't say he's a legacy, but you know what I'm saying, like people know that name. Well,
I think a lot of it too just has to do with society right now, because I remember when NWA's a movie first came out, and how they was getting beat up by the police, they was taking the money and all that. And I remember my oldest son was like, did that really happen? I said, boy, this stuff been happening for so many years. I said, the difference between then and now is now people are recording it. I said, and even back then, if you recorded it, you couldn't upload it to nothing. I said, and now I think like George Floyd, the reason why his went so popular so quickly is because somebody was actually live, so people were watching this in real time. And so and we all at home for COVID, so you wasn't distracted, you wasn't at no t-ball game, you wasn't watching no movies, you on social media, and then somebody, even if you wouldn't on it, somebody's calling you saying, oh my God, get on this. And so that's why that went viral so quick. And so then everybody across the whole world knows about it, because with social media, you don't have just the people next door or the people around the corner. You got people you never met before watching this. And so the one thing about that whole situation that people don't understand is the little girl who filmed that, because it was a young girl, she wasn't even an adult, she was under the age of 18, who filmed that. She was has been so traumatized by that whole situation, and nobody never talks about it. Like, she don't want to talk about it. She don't want to, but she is the one who went live. Because older people wouldn't have went live. They probably would have did a video or whatever, but because of her age and what was popular at that time, you know, she's the one who hit the button, went live. And when they talked, because even when they went to court, she didn't want to test, she didn't want to do none of that, because she was just so you know, traumatized behind it. I mean, and I could just only imagine that you see these police in the neighborhood all the time and you don't think nothing of it, but to watch them actually kill somebody was just devastating. And even now, just to know that half these people that kill people are out of jail, you know, because they get pardoned or whatever the case may be. And so that's really, I mean, where's that legacy at? And a lot of times, again, going back to the family, it's the family who keeps the legacy going. Because I had a girlfriend whose son got killed by a police officer, and she has an annual event every year recognizing him, you know. So it's her drive that keeps his name you know, alive in the city and all of that. And so I think that that's important. So, you know, I go back to, if you don't have family and friends that really value what you do, your legacy will kind of dwindle away unless somebody along the way picks it up and go, oh my God, look what this person done. They wrote a book, they did this, they did that, and this was the impact behind it.
Right. Yes. A change or something that, like you said, an impact behind. Because what about the one guy that you heard about him for a hot second, but that stayed with me? It's the man that jumped down in between the subway. There was a subway train coming, and a guy had fell and was having a seizure. Oh. And that man jumped down there to save him. And he got, like, I think Good Morning America, all them, they talked to him, and then it just kind of disappeared. Went on about, you know, I think people like that, like, those are legends. Like, he didn't, his daughter was standing up on the platform or the thing. He didn't think twice. He just, being a good Samaritan, just jumped in there, and they set up college fund for his daughter and everything, and she's probably at that age by now, but that was just so, like, wow.
Did he die?
No, no, he didn't die. He lived. He told the man, woke up, and he told him, he said, do not move, because that subway train, and they had like a millimeter, you know, if he would have, and no, he didn't die. He saved that man. And I'm like, man, I said, what was the, what? Right. Like, I would love to talk to that man. Like, what kind of person were you? What was the message God was trying to get to you, to the point where a black man said, because he was black, he was white, and it wasn't a racist thing, but you know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes we got to be put in situations to see, or, you know, it's just, I believe, again, that's my silver lining. I believe that there's a message behind everything.
Yes. Yeah. I think some people are just that good and naturally. So if I see something happen, I'm going to naturally go into action and let somebody put their arm up and say, no, don't move. You know, I've been stopped before to do stuff because they're like, this ain't your battle. Sit down. I go, oh, okay. You know, you kind of wake up from it. But I think that's a natural reaction to assist people. And the downfall to that, though, is now people play so many games trying to become popular on social media. They act like they doing kidnappings, or they act like they doing something to get the people around them, their reaction to it, and that's what makes people hesitate. Like, is this a scam, a skit, or is this really happening? And so it's just, you know, I'm like, stop playing just because you want to get some likes and shares. Like, it's just annoying, because if something really was to happen, it's, you know, you don't know if it's real or not, and by then it's over with, because you know, getting snatched up can just happen so quickly.
And I think that's one of the scariest things right now, is you don't know what's real and you don't know what's fake, or you know, because people, you don't know if somebody really need help, and you don't know if you walking into a situation because it's a joke that turns bad, you know, because somebody want to play too much. I mean, that is scary to me, especially like for our children, our kids, and just
You didn't get to play them kind of games back in the day. All we knew was about, don't you get in the van. I don't care if they got a puppy or a candy. You don't get in the van.
Right.
But, when you talk about who taught you legacy, I think that the generations have changed who's teaching the legacy because of what we have experienced growing up, of thinking that something belongs to us and it really doesn't, because we didn't do the necessary steps to make sure that it stayed within the family. That farm, that house, that car, that 401k,
Well, remember now, that's just material. Remember?
Yeah,
just,
and even your voice, you have that one child who didn't feel like, even though they was in the same household, who didn't feel like they got treated the same as everybody else. So are they the loudest when they talking about Big Mama? Or are they getting shut down by everybody else? So, you have to think about that too. Who is speaking on your behalf when you're no longer around?
Right. And who will be missed the most when they're gone?
Yes. Well, sometimes you don't speak about who's missed, though.
Who will be missed the most?
Who will be missed?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you should, because that's our legacy. That's our, when you think about, what was that movie? Soul Food. When Big Mama passed on, and she was the one that the glue.
Yes.
So who's keeping that glue together? Who's, her legacy? They had the money. I mean, I think, like you just said, we're in a different time, and who's teaching us? I don't know if people are really understanding what a legacy is.
I don't think people understand it. I don't think there's a clear definition when people talk about they have a legacy, because everybody defines it differently depending on how they see it.
Right. And there's not a lot of studying anymore to understand what it is, and people just, I think they just go with the flow, like you said, social media teaching us. And
that's what I was going to say. I don't think people study nothing no more, honestly, because I just don't see it. I mean, it's very rare that you hear people spit out facts, or that people read something from start to finish. And when you do that, people look at you like, girl, ain't nobody got time for that. There's so many podcasters and social media people who are actually spitting out truth because they read the whole document and they know the history behind it. Nobody gives them a second look. And it's just so bizarre to me. I'm like, this person is telling the truth, because I know when I read that this is what it says. And so that when they do a reference and say, if you go check this and match it to this, it says da. But the people don't give them no play.
Right. So, like me and letting you know that Jesus is a legacy. I want y'all to challenge me. I want y'all to go to y'all generation, the generation before y'all, the generation after y'all. I want you to say, I want somebody to tell me that they ain't heard of Jesus and his legacy.
Well, this is true.
I want somebody to tell
me. But that's just like Muhammad, not Muhammad Ali.
I know.
Okay.
I'm about to say who? Nah. But you're right. But if we were to do the little challenge that they do on the street,
most people will hear about
they
Jesus,
say
because they see. But a lot of African Americans are so upset because grandma had that picture on the wall of what Jesus looked like, even though she ain't never saw him before, and and then they started turning him black, and then finally people just took the picture down. Then they just had a cross. Now they're saying it ain't a cross, it's the other thing. Is it an ankh? Am I saying it right? Yeah. And then they went back, but one thing that never changed was the name Jesus.
That's right. That's right. They can be mad, because the story is still the same.
The story is still the same.
It ain't been changed, and the story is the same.
But a lot of people won't go to church because they are so taken aback by the misconception of what he it's supposed to look like.
It don't matter.
According to the Bible.
It don't matter. They still know his name.
They
still know his name.
This is true.
The legacy still lives on. I'm not saying I ain't trying to convert nobody, but I'm just saying.
This is
you
true.
know?
This is true.
I mean, if you think
there's
about,
no argument here.
Yeah,
Normally I challenge you, but I had to think about now who else do people talk about? But yeah, you and the devil.
Oh yeah, the devil. He got his
devil.
legacy.
The devil made me do it.
Yes.
The devil made me do it.
The devil is a lie.
Yeah,
he got
and
his
so
legacy.
you see how the devil took my car. No, baby, you didn't make your car payments, and so they repoed it. It was not the devil, but yeah, the devil gets blamed for everything.
Right. You sure right. The devil and Jesus. That's good.
The evil spirits of the devil. You like, girl, no, get yourself
But we ain't
together.
never really. But the one thing about the devil, I know about the horns, and in my head I see a picture, but I ain't never seen no picture. No
Yeah, girl.
In my head.
All it takes is one person to tell everybody this is what he looked like, and then how do we know it's a he?
Exactly. Well, I seen the little. The red suit
tail
with the
and all
tail.
that. Yeah, no.
That's it. But we done seen all kind of pictures of Jesus and what Jesus, the crown on his head.
You have
and all
of the
that.
devil too. That's just probably the one that sticks in your head. It's always this look on his face, and yeah, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But Moses always looked like Jesus. They just don't talk about him as much.
They might not know Moses though.
This is true. This is true.
Moses.
Now you're going to make me walk down the street and be sounding like a Jehovah's Witness. Do you have a minute to talk about Jesus? Do you know who Jesus is?
I just got one question.
I'm going to come back and be like, Miss Lady, I done ran into people that didn't know who Jesus was, so that debunks your whole legacy.
We're going to do a social experiment, y'all. Go ask 10 people if they know who Jesus is.
Do they know who Jesus is?
That's all we want to know. It don't even matter. Just 10 random people. Do you know who Jesus is?
Or have you heard of Jesus?
I bet you 9
Have you heard that name? And we ain't talking about who say.
I want to say 10 out of 10, but I'm going to go 9 out of 10.
I'm gonna say 10 out of 10.
You gonna say 10 out of 10? Yeah.
Now they probably could depend, because it depends. You get some little rebels. They be saying, I don't know nobody named Jesus, but you heard the name.
You heard the name.
So it's all about how you ask the question.
We didn't ask if you believed in him. We asked
have
if you heard
of the name Jesus.
Yeah.
That's the question.
Yep.
That's we're gonna take a
Not
poll.
Jesus either. Jesus.
Jesus.
All right, I think I learned something today. About our legacies, and I don't know where the Holy Spirit. No, I'm just playing.
I'm smoking weed. No.
Right, I was smoking that good mental weed. All right. As always, we are grateful to those who joined us today discussing things that challenge our mindset. So until the next time, become your own peace. Be slow to speak, fast to think, and before you release it, ask yourself, who taught me that?